The anime begins with Senku and other members of the Kingdom of Science. Senku, the ambitious Ryusui Nanami, and other members built a ship and set sail to find the spacecraft that Senku's father landed on Earth years ago. Senku is in a hot air balloon. Nanami looks at the village and says that he wants this beautiful village and everything in it. Senku and his team are almost ready to sail and reach the other side of the world, where the green light that petrified humanity originated. Everyone there likes Senku very much, and especially the children want to play with him. Then Kohaku comes there and takes them on a tour of the village. First of all, they go to Senku's science lab, where they work with many chemicals. Nanami is very excited, and he knows that Senku is going to save all humanity. He will start all of this to save his friend first. Chrome tells all of them that the ship is going to be done. After this, everyone makes a plan that as soon as the shift is over, they will all leave for overseas and create the world map again. Tsukasa and other villagers are helping to make the boat. Then Senku tells them they have spread their wings in the sky, and they also test balloons there and will soon go out in search of fuel. Earlier, Nanami worked on ships. Nanami appreciates everyone's work, especially girls. Chrome is very excited about dinner at night. Nanami is also upset, but he gets upset when he learns about fish at dinner. They say that they don't have food resources, and they have been eating fish for the last few months. Kohaku says that earlier. Many people used to live in this village, but because of the absence of food, all those people died. Senku and Nanami say that their next mission is to create wheat there. After this, they go out in search of wheat in a hot air balloon, and at one place they see a huge field of wheat. After this, they decided to go out to Kanto to grow crops there. Kohaku says to a group of people that there is no need to worry because they will start growing wheat very soon. Everyone takes a rest, but Taiju-kun works hard and says he won't let anyone die because he has no family of his own. After some time, the crop starts growing, and they make bread. Villagers like it very much because it's their first time, but Senku and others also don't like it because it's burned. After this, they start their next mission, looking for a professional chef. Chrome says that Senku has made this bread very tasty. Ryusui says that real bread is unbelievably tasty, and they need a professional chef to make it. Kohoko compares it with the stone. Ryusui asks Minami about the revival fluid. She says she doesn't have the flu. Ryusui says that Minami is a journalist, and she has the opportunity to save the lives of humans. She doesn't miss that opportunity because she must revive people. Jin says to Minami that no one could escape Ryusui's greed. Senku tells Jin to handle this deal. Gen says to Minami that Senku has a gift to give to a talented girl named Minami in exchange for the revival of the fluid. Minami gives him a revival flight to revive a single person, and she tells them to revive a 3-star chef. Taiju and others go to the island, where they revive Ryusui. Minami revives Francois, and he thanks Minami for clothes and other things and asks about Ryusui. Taiju tells Ryusui that he is right and shouldn't worry about him. Then Francois goes from there. Jen tells her the way to Ryusui. Ryusui says that Francois is a Japanese person. Ryusui says he doesn't know about Francois's gender, but she is the most desirable butler. Then Francois comes there and asks for the menu list and the time for food preservation. Ryusui says that they want to preserve the food for 10 months. They may have to stop for a year. Then they take out the goat milk and make butter from it, and they pluck some dry fruits. Senku removes moisture with butter and dry fruits. Bacteria are kept away when moisture is removed. Francois tells Senku and Ryusui to do well. Then she cooked bread on a low flame. When everyone eats bread, they become very happy and say they've eaten such bread for many years. Then she says that bread is baked softly due to the amount of water. If the water is too much, then bread may be spoiled. Then Minami asks about her gift in exchange for the revival fluid. Kaseki tells Senku not to underestimate the craftsman. Kaseki asks why Senku calls him there. Senku says something in his ear, and then Kaseki starts building. Chrome and Senku say they have to focus on science. Senku asks to mix sodium, hydroxide, silver, and ammonia and dip a glass in this combination, also sprinkled with glucose. The glass becomes a mirror, and they put a sulfur stream in it. Minami says she lost her camera during the time of petrification, and she wants it to keep a record of humanity building civilization. Senku takes a picture of the balloon, which is visible after a few minutes. Senku takes pictures of the ground and covers the island with pictures. Kohaku and Jen see pictures. Kohaku says the work of finding oil has become easier due to the camera. Jen talks to the ground search team and tells them about a river. Senku says he takes all his pictures before winter because he doesn't search oil fields in winter due to oil. Taiju says that wheat starts growing in a very short time. Ryusui says humanity has succeeded in getting crops. Now it's time to open the Francois restaurant. Francois says she uses pictures to choose ingredients and make designs. Ryusui says it's a good idea. Senku says the others are upset due to a lack of food, and says to make food full of protein and also preserve it for a long time. Then Ryusui says to make delicious food, while Jen says they can't. They don't have ingredients. But Francois says to make another dish, and she calls Suika for help. Who knows about Ishigami village and its surroundings? Suika comes there and eats the bread. Kohaku carries some boars with her and ties them in form. Then Jen asks about truffles, and Francois says that truffles can be created in any ordinary forest. Kohaku finds mushrooms in the picture with her strong eyesight. She has the observational skills of a person who spent his whole life in the woods, and they also find an oil field in the picture. Senku finds the exact location of the oil field. Francois says they have to help the search team after building a restaurant. Suka says they don't get black mushrooms. Francois uses boars that can smell mushrooms. The boar finds truffles, but he eats them. Finally, they find a black mushroom truffle. Suka tells the boar to take them to the oil field. He runs, and all the others follow him because the boar can smell the oil. Then the boar reached the oil field. Kohaku says they use it to move their boat. Senku says they have the king's resources in this new world. Francois doesn't cook the boar because an oil smell comes out of him, and Suika meets her new friend. The boat ran and was told to leave Japan. Rizui says they will reach a new world where humanity has not yet been reached. Chrome says they can go back to their home because they have come so far. She says don't worry because they have the thing. Their lives depend on it. Senku tells Chrome to make a GPS. Senku tells Yukio to rotate his antennae randomly to know their position. A signal comes to them, and Senku says he has been waiting for them for 3,700 years. Suka asks about the mysterious voice that talks with them. Ruri says that it may be a group of survivors. Then they put a board in the Kingdom of Science war room. Taiju says Senku and his team have to focus on their work. Francois agrees with him. Kohaku says it's decided by the people of the meeting, the 5 members of the Kingdom of Science. They are the most powerful people, and they are the generals. Yukio wants to repeat all the things that happened. One day, a beam of light will make stone for all humanity on the planet, and it is free from petrification after 3,700 years. Yukio says an unidentified or unseen enemy could be reached at any time. Kaseki says they are making a conical flask into a giant vacuole tube. Nobody knows what they're doing. Suika turns it on, and Senku says they use electrodes to accelerate these electrons that emit heat. Then an electron beam hits the bottom of the flask, and the point switches up. Senku says it is to make the display of GPS. Gian says there's only a beam in it. Senku says they move it left, right, up and down, and it shows a picture like a cathode ray in the old days. Rory says the law of nature is awesome. Chrome says they use the law of nature in science. Yukio says he knows that Senku is on the radar. They have underwater sonar. Yukio says the boat has become an actual science waffle with GPS, radar, and sonar. And he says that information is humanity's strongest weapon. Senku thinks he can find the person with the mysterious voice because the person's first word is Q. He has a connection with petrification. Chrome thinks they are taking help from the bandages and thinks the enemy is behind the water due to the zigzag appearing in the line. Yukio says he did a nice job. Then they use sonar to catch fish because they need food to reach the other side. They say they can find a mysterious person because they have radar and sonar, and they can reach the other side of the planet with the help of the power of science. Francois prepared food for them. Kohaku says radar and sonar are amazing. Chrome thinks they reach the Kingdom of Science with iron rocks because they're very heavy. They use the raw form of oil for making roads, and it goes toward the river. Then they transport iron rocks by boat. Ryuzui says they need a leader who must be funny on an industrial scale to handle things. Chrome says they will see the mastermind behind the petrification. After the ship is almost ready. Kaseki says that one side of the ship is not ready, and when he tries to correct it, the other side dissipates, and he doesn't know what to do. Ukio tells Kaseki that it's not his fault. It takes time to build this great ship, and they learn from their mistakes in making it. Magma asks for the time required to build it. Senku says they don't have much time to rebuild the ship because they have to find Q. In the past, Rizui's father told him to lessen his greed, and his father reduced his money to $1 million Rizui starts earning from the financial market, and he does this using the name of his family, Namiami. His family says that Ryuzui is a black sheep for their family. Francois wants to hear that Ryuzui is not selfish. It's easy to give up on anything, and Ryuzui works hard when he needs anything. Ryuzu made a wooden ship. Francois says if he has a real ship, then why does he need to make the ship? He says modern ships have many scientific technologies, but he wants traditional beauty in a ship, and he needs a trustworthy person for this. He determines the ship with Senku and doesn't waste Kaseki's work. Ryuzui says if he has not forgiven the giant ship, then he wants nothing. Minami says she records everything from the start to the end of the ship. Senku mixes nuts and vanilla and cocoa and makes chocolate. Chrome and others like it very much. Minami shows pictures to everyone, and this year may be her last. Senku says they want to steal now because their injury may break out, then says they don't have a shortcut there. Risui says they may have to work underwater. That's why they require swimming suits. Then they are in suits, and Minami captures their pictures. 1 year passes and Yukayu says the person has not been found. He may be waiting for their move. Ryuzui tells them to meet. Senku and others are going. Minami collects their pictures and says that some people are going to the ship. They may not meet with each other after this. Senku says it's not the end. They solve the mystery of petrification, come back on the other side of the planet, and meet again. They move the ship to sea, and Kaseki is happy as it's a big project in his long career. Ryuzui says it's a dangerous mission. Jen says bye to everyone. Senku says to go to a torture island where they find a god-deer item where astronauts who escape from petrification come. Senku says the petrification team hit Earth a few thousand years ago, and he will remove the petrification effect. He can do this with 7 billion people. Gen says it takes 1 million liters of revival flu. Kohaku says the mountain from which they get revival flu is destroyed. Senku says they don't live on the petty side of nature, and the mountain also gives a short amount of revival, and it's not enough for humanity. Then he tells about a god-deer item that supplies an unlimited amount of revival fluid. Magma says there is nothing on a planet, and they easily catch it. Then the story shows that it was 3,700 years ago, when Byakuya is watching a ring and says it's the wedding ring of Yakov that is made of the diamond left from the record handle. Byakuya tells the truth about humanity, and he kept many precious things in boxes. Then Byakuya gets old, and his children play at the beach. He thinks they wait for the time to come and reassure the scientists. Then Senku asks Ruri about stories from 3,700 years ago. Gen says Ishigami village survived due to Senku's father's knowledge. Then Senku asks Ruri about the story. The name of the whole village is written on a stone. Byakuya says someone comes who is interested in rocks and collects these rocks. Ruri yells at the things that are sleeping in the treasure box. Senku talks about platinum, which is an ultra-rare thing. They need a piece of platinum, use it as a catalyst, and make nitric acid. Chrome says to Kohaku that if he has platinum, then they will make an unlimited amount of revival fluid. Senku says the treasure box is a strong armor that is the result of human science. It can bear the whole heat of the atmosphere. Then they see members of the power team. He has no name because he is not from Ishigami village. He was found on the beach. His real name is Soyuz. That's the name of treasure box. He can help them with the treasure box. Soyuz says there are also other survivors of the treasure. These are the beliefs of Ishigami's people when humanity is petrified. Senku's father and astronauts are on a spaceship, and the family of Ishigami is only left on an island. Ruri shares the wish of Ishigami's founder that they reach Japan. Senku tells Jave to face a storm in the sea. When they see the island, Soyuz says it's his home, where he was born. Senku wishes that they all go to Treasure Island, but they don't know about the people on Treasure Island. Yukio says people on the island don't have radar. If they do, then they will learn about their ship. Senku says science is an advantage for them. He tells them to go silently to the island using their scientific eyes. They hide their ship behind the rock before the rain ends. Whoever did well, Ryusui rewarded him. Then they reach behind the rock at the perfect time. Ryuzu gave rewards to group members, but Senku said it was not time for games. If they stay there for more time, then island people will find them. They have to reach the island with a small team. Senku tells them to find platinum. If it's not found, he asks the island people. 4 of them go to the island in a small boat. Ryusui asks Suka what she is doing on the ship. Suka says she wants to help them. Ryusui doesn't allow Suika, and he says she should move back and wait for them. Franciwa says to her that the captain is going on a dangerous mission, so he doesn't want to put the life of the little girl at risk. Taiju says the best solution is that she has to finish cleaning the ship after the storm. Yukio feels someone in the flower of the sea. Ginro plunges into the sea, sees some statues, and tells Yukio. He says astronauts come to the island. Kohaku sees something light on the ship. They call the ship, but they do not pick up the call. Jin sees that Chrome and the others are petrified. Suka says she doesn't know, but Ryusui saves her by throwing her into the sea. Then Jen comes to Kohaku and Senku, telling them that everyone is petrified on the ship. Soyuz says there is an enemy force trying to petrify the Science Kingdom, but also a friend who wants to escape from petrification. When Senku sees the shell, he says that it was thrown there approximately 10 to 15 minutes before. Jen suspects that the shell was touched by a young lady and came to know that she lives on a mountain. They see a girl and say to get help from her with science. And when they know about the platinum location, they terrify everyone. They say that Amaryllis can gel them and their enemy is the same. Senku goes to her and asks about treasure. Other villagers come there and want to defeat the master. She tries to stop them. She is getting married to the master so she can defeat him. Amaryllis told her story to Senku and others 5 years ago, when she was 17 years old. She is going with her friends to the other side of the sea. She says it is not okay, but her friends are afraid because of the stories of her elders, and she goes with them in the boat. There is another boat behind them, which is the master's friend's boat. Thoben are afraid of them, because they are both very strong. They say to girls that they are very pretty, but Amaryllis is a little girl now. Then they purify all of them, but her friends save her. Then Senku says that a petrification light also fell on him. Kohaku asks why she escaped from petrification. She says their boat dropped into the water and she swam out. She says if petrification is a weapon, then it can be sealed by the master. She asks Senku and others for help. Senku says that it's like a science because it has rules. Senku says that a limited area is affected by petrification, and petrification can be stopped by cutting that part of the body. Amaryllis says every year, the master comes to the village and chooses a girl who is more than 18 years old for marriage. She claims that her master will come and take her away tomorrow. If she reaches the inner palace, she can easily steal the petrification beam. Then Senku says it can be done by Kohaku. She goes to the master to complete the mission. They enhanced her beauty and gave her clothes. They say they have to go to the science lab because it's their trump card and they can fight. Kohaku is looking for someone who is not petrified by the ship, but Kirisame is seeing her. She attacks Kohaku. A few hours ago, Kirisame came to the ship and fell into the petrification light. Yukio attacks the petrification light, but it falls on them. Risui throws Suika from the boat and tells her to go to Senku. When Jinro is at sea, he sees a petrification light, but he saves himself from this light. Then he climbs up on the boat and sees that everyone is petrified there. Then the enemy comes, and he hides himself in a box. And when he sees Kohaku from the box, when she is looking for them, he calls them for help. Senku and others learn that a survivor has been left on a ship. An enemy comes to the box, but he doesn't open it. Then they look at animals and vegetables and say the master will like them very much. Tsuke is also there and says Suika manages to reach the lab. Gen says he is not worried for Suika because she is very capable, but he is worried for his friend Jinro. When seniors are busy, Jinro tries to run, but when he sees kindness, he stops. He took his kin to him because he believed that his kin was alive, but he can't hear or speak. When Suika is running, a warrior says he thinks it's a vegetable, but it's a beast. 2 warriors are after him to catch him. When they pick, it's not Micah in the fruit shell. She comes out in the lab car and all are happy to see her. Ginro plunges into the water and Suika picks him up in the lab car and they enter a forest. Warriors ran after them, but they could not see anything in the darkness. They think that the lab car is a whirlpool. They think of a car as an animal. Senku says their misunderstanding is quite right, and if they go out with a car, then enemies could see them. Then he sees Jasmine's flower and makes a mixture of sulfur and jasmine, which makes a smell. Warriors don't come to the lab because of the smell. Gen comes out with the beast's voice, and the warriors say that it's a beast. Then they go to the footprints, and it's difficult to see in the darkness, but it's a beast. Senku and others made fake princes there. Now they have the lab, and they can enhance Kohaku. The warrior says to be careful if anyone runs from the ship, and they check every home and forest. Then Amaryllis tells them about the secret passageway, and they reach it by sea. Kohaku asks if they are doing a beauty contest at that time, and Amaryllis says yes. She also says that the master isn't concerned about anything and is only interested in beautiful girls. Senku makes beauty products with these fruits and lab items, and say there is a need for hard work to look pretty. Then Senku says Kohaku's hairstyle is the big project. Senku unties her hair and makes a mixture of things like oil, salt, coconut, and some chemicals. Kotaku washes her hair with conditioner, and it becomes very silky and shiny. Senku makes his next project, foundation, perfume, and many other beauty projects. Then they ask Kohaku for makeup, but she does not look very beautiful. Then Amaryllis takes over her softly, and she looks very pretty. Amaryllis says Science's cosmetics are very amazing. Then they also make Jinro. Maz is responsible for selecting girls. He selects Amaryllis, Kohaku, and Jinro. Senku says it's time to get beamed. Senku says it's time to get petrified, and the key to success is the earrings. He makes the earrings with rock air salt, and they do the proper work of conductors. The silver coil looks decorated, and Senku gets the rock salt from wine. Gen asks about the battery in it. Senku says that the earpiece doesn't need any batteries, and it almost works like a crystal. They don't have time, so they have to give it to Kohaku without any tests. Then Senku threw an earring at Kohaku. She wore it, and she could hear them. Senku says they can give her instructions, but she doesn't get an answer from the warrior lady Kirisame, who is much more powerful. Gen laughs and says that Hinro is selected. They claim to have stolen the bee from midair. Then they make a motor. Gen says he learned it in elementary school. Kohaku tells Amaryllis to give her 115 seconds. Kohaku goes to the tree because the prince is busy with the girls, and Amaryllis tries to distract the attention of the warriors by saying they are very good looking. They become happy and say she is also a beautiful woman. That's why she is in the inner palace. But Kirisame comes to Kohaku and sends her back. When she comes back, she says she found a key but doesn't know how to send this information to Senku. She can't tell because they have one-way communication. Jinro says they can call them by crying loudly, but Amaryllis says they reach them after much difficulty and don't take any risks. At that time, Jinro's instructor comes here. He is his teacher, who teaches him rules and manners before entering a palace. Senku made the motor and sent it to the palace. Senku told Kohaku by earrings that he sent a motor to her, and the warriors thought that it was a mouse because the motor was uncontrollable. Kohaku catches the motor, but the instructor comes there and says to behave mannerly. Amaryllis says she gets afraid of the big mouse, and Kohaku catches it to save her. Jen says to Kohaku from her earring that if she needs any help, she will launch this raid and it works like an emergency letter, but she doesn't know about letters. Jinro asks Kinro when he has learned to write. Kinro says that it's writing and Senku and other modern people can understand it. Jinro wishes to learn to write, and Kinro says he is proud of her. Kohaku sent an emergency message by motor car in picture form, and Senku understood that they would get platinum, and they will use it to make unlimited revival fluid, and unpetrified for all humanity. Kohaku reaches the root of the tree, and thinks that this key of science assures their victory. Senku's father leaves that treasure box there. Senku says that Kohaku finds the treasure left by Byakuya. Kohaku says that there is a magic stone of platinum in front of her. When she touches the platinum stone, it breaks, and she wonders if it's made by the technology of the top civilization, but its outer layer becomes useless. Then she removes the outer layer and sees a stone. She thinks that if she uses force to open, then all the warriors will come to her. Kohaku says the secret is in front of her, but she can do nothing to save her friends. Senku wishes that she could have a silent bomb with her. Then Senku made a mixture and sent 3 motor cars to Kohaku. He tells Kohaku to use it. When the warriors see 3 mice and say it's very strange, Kohaku asks Amaryllis to distract the warriors, and Amaryllis starts dancing before the warriors. Ginro also dances. Then Kohaku makes a noise, and the warriors come to know that the noise comes from the master's tree. So when they are going, Jinro distracts them, and they again start enjoying their dance. He says he is a gatekeeper in his village, and he knows those amazing tricks to run. Then Kohaku put both of the mixtures in a hole and broke them. At night, she thinks that she will fit the mixture in the afternoon, and it is almost ready. Then Byakuya says that Senku can easily cure petrification. He put gold, diamonds, and platinum in a hole. The Kohaku moved over the stone, and it fell on the glass bottle, making a lot of noise. Warriors hear the noise, and when they come to Kohaku, a warrior shows a piece of stone to others and says that the stone may fall and make noise. Then Kohaku sends a message by motorcar with gold dust. Senku says there must be platinum in pure gold, and he finds the platinum in it. He says it's very rare, and Byakuya collects it from the river. Then Byakuya collects many places of platinum from gold, and says Byakuya spent years collecting it. Byakuya says he works very hard, because he is an astronaut and works for the future of science, and he says that rare minerals will be very useful in the future, and he collects it for the next astronauts. Senku says he had a statue of many lakes for years, and when he falls on the land, he can see the earth and remember Senku from his last time. Then Senku makes an experiment and says the final battle is going to start.